So, we're playing a game with my buddy Mensch here. Say hello.
Hello!
He is casually into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, he knows about certain cards. Would you call yourself an expert?
No.
What's your main deck?
Super Heavy Samurai.
Yeah.
the deck that doesn't require you to read.
Yeah, essentially. I wanted to go through the ban list. I want to say like around 10 to 15 different cards. And he has to tell me whether or not the card is banned or not. We're going to be using the TCG for this. For the sake of confusion, I'm not including Max C, even though it's banned in the real-life TCG, but not in Master Duel, for instance. And I have it listed on as unlimited, so it doesn't tell us what cards are banned or not. So Pot of Greed here, A-OK. By the way, I just want to point out that there were several cards made specifically for Pot of Greed back in the day. I just
like to make it stronger.
Yeah, and I just love that these are all completely useless now. Pot of Greed getting banned. I'm gonna show you a card. I'm gonna tell you the effect, and you can ask like, how was this card used back in the day? And you have to tell me whether or not it's banned. So let's get the first one. First up, Painful Choice. Select 5 cards from your deck and show them to your opponent. Your opponent selects 1 card among them. Add that card to your hand and discard the remaining cards to the graveyard.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I'm
gonna say it was banned because it's not. There's no real. I don't think it was banned because it was a good card. It just doesn't seem to do anything. They had to have realized this is just kind of like a bad design. What person in their right mind would wait? Oh, I'm seeing how this could be used now. I'm gonna say banned.
Yes, indeed. Painful Choice was banned, and I think it was banned very early on because, 1, it's not once per turn, and 2, there are so many decks now that rely on stuff being in the graveyard that this is a great way to be like, oh, well, no matter what, I'm fucked.
Yeah. No matter, like, if you have this in a deck and your deck is primarily doing things from the graveyard, your opponent is fucked no matter what.
Just to put things in perspective, right now in the card game, Tier Elements could use this a lot, Phantom Knights can use this a lot. There's so many, so yeah, this was banned very early on, and thank fuck. Blaster, Dragon, Ruler of Infernos.
Ooh, that's a lot of text.
If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can banish a total of 2 fire and or dragon types from your hand or graveyard, except this card, special summon them. During your opponent's end phase, if this card was special summoned, return it to the hand. You can discard this card and 1 fire monster to graveyard, then target 1 card on the field, destroy that target. If this card is banished, you can add 1 fire dragon type monster from your deck to your hand.
I'm gonna say it's not banned. At least my logic wise, it has the general rule of thumb I'm seeing is a lot of the ones that are banned are ones that don't say once per turn and are just kind of general use. This seems to be only really affecting like dragon or fire type cards, so I'm gonna say no.
You are incorrect. This card is actually banned.
What? Why?
You were talking about how entire archetypes getting banned. The Dragon Rulers were that. They were so powerful, they actually were banned.
Oh, really?
So the thing is with the Dragon Rulers, while their main effects are once per turn, their revival effects are not once per turn. So
I see.
So these guys could keep on coming. And you could use them for anything like Xyz summoning, Link summoning very easily. Because they could use dragons or whatever attribute they are for their effects, they were easy to use with any deck. I think the only one that isn't banned is, I think, the Wind one. I don't know why him in particular, but yeah, the Dragon Rulers actually were very busted for a little bit. As a result, like, no matter what kind of deck you were using, you saw a Dragon Ruler in there. Injection Fairy Lily. If this card attacks or is attacked during damage calculation either player's turn, you can pay 2,000 life points once per battle. This card gains 3,000 attack during that damage calculation only. Very much a waifu card.
I'm gonna say no. The effect of the attack only applies to the card, right?
Yes.
So it only applies to the card. You're still sacrificing to get something.
Yeah.
I don't see how this could really be something worthy of banning unless they used another card to pair with it that would do that, but then that would be I don't know.
Well, you are correct. It is not banned. But you want to know the funny thing is, it actually was banned at one point. It was banned on the first ever ban list, in fact. But Because what you would do is you would pair it with a card called Gravity Bind, which would prevent level 4 or higher monsters from attacking. This card was level 3, so it could go by that. But as time went on, because more counter traps and like for battle phase started coming about, they very quickly took it off the list.
I don't see it being very useful, honestly.
No, Fairy Lily's time has passed, which it's kind of a shame. It's a very cute, quirky card.
Did they also change the art for it?
For the US?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe we had a conversation once about it.
Japan, the card art for this is that it has the Red Cross instead of hearts because.
Oh yeah, the fucking Red Cross thing. They don't want their fucking symbol being associated with anything because they're dicks.
Yeah, exactly. Prank Kids meow-meow-mu. This is a link monster which requires 1 level 4 or lower Prank Kids monster. If a Prank Kids monster you control would tribute itself to activate its effect during your opponent's turn, you could banish this card, you control, or from your graveyard instead. To quickly give some idea about the Prank Kids, they're a series of monsters that they have like big links and fusion monsters that have effects that activate by tribute.
I'm gonna say banned.
Ooh, how so?
I think I saw it on the ban list once.
Well, yeah, believe it or not, you are correct. So Prank Kids meow-meow-mu is essentially the card that starts the Prank Kids combo to slowly lead up to a monster called Prank Kids Battle Butler, who can sacrifice himself to destroy all monsters your opponents control. But the thing is, Battle Butler is not once per turn. You can use that again later if your opponent starts to make something of a comeback. The unfortunate thing with meow-meow-mu getting banned, however, is that with meow-meow-mu banned, it unfortunately means Prank Kids are nowhere near as good now. In fact, they're not played anymore because meow-meow was how you got them started, and without it, now they can't do that.
Would you say meow-meow-mu is like the Prank Kids version of the Numeron network?
Basically, it's the card that starts things, so without it, they can't, do their thing. They tried to limit meow-meow-mu for a little bit, but Prank Kids were still super heavily utilized, so they were like, okay, fuck it, banned. Because the ban list targets a lot of, like, overly long combos as well as like, overused decks. Sarcic Radiation. Activate this card by placing 7 counters on it. Each Sarcic monster is special summoned from the hand or extra deck. You can remove a counter from this card, draw a card. Once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 Sarcic card in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. You can only control 1 Sarcic Radiation. So its drawing effect is not once per turn, so you could summon out multiple Sarcic monsters, which are these monsters that summon themselves from the hand by discarding another card. Like
I'm gonna say ban just because this seems like one of those cards where you can like really fuck over somebody. And if it's not banned right now, I'm thinking it was probably once banned.
You are incorrect. This was never banned, never on any limited lists.
Really?
Here's the reason.
This seems like you can do a lot of bullshit with it.
It seems like that, but here's the thing. Sarcics are terrible. They're...
Oh, that's why. The archetype sucks.
Yeah, Sarcics are considered one of the worst archetypes in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! The reason that card exists is because the problem is these things drain your hand super quickly.
They're one of those decks.
Yeah, and you don't often get a lot of ways back, so Radiation is supposed to be there to make up for the fact that
it's literally its crutches. It's the deck's crutch.
Yeah, it's a shame that Sarcic kind of suck because I think their design aesthetic is cool. They're all these cool looking space bears.
They're like Zoids.
Yeah. Giant Trunade. This is an old one. Return all spell and traps on the field to the hand.
I'm gonna say banned.
Ooh, what's that?
Because seems like a very, very powerful card, especially since it's an ultra rare. It seems like this would be like one of those things that's like used a lot like Regeki, but it's not there, so I'm gonna say it's banned.
You are correct. Giant Trunade is banned. So the reason why is because there are a lot of field spell cards that when they're activated, they add a card to their hand. The thing is, what you could do is use that, then use Giant Trunade to activate it again, get another card, for instance. Or something that was commonly used with back in the day is a card called Premature Burial, which is also on the ban list. Premature Burial can revive a monster in your graveyard and equip it. And if this card is destroyed, destroy the equipped monster. But you could use Giant Trunade as a loophole to get this card into hand, keep the monster on the field, and then use it again to get another monster.
So just you kept going.
Yeah. They did make a legal version called Hey Trunade, where it returns all set spells and traps on the field to the hand, which is not bad, but next up is Elemental Hero Stratos. So, when this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. A, destroy spells and trap cards on the field up to the number of hero monsters you control, except for Stratos. And 2, add one hero monster from your deck to your hand.
I'm gonna say not banned. It seems like a powerful card, but I don't think it really causes too much. Wait, hold up. Okay, so if it had only one of these effects, I'm gonna say banned because it has both of these effects, and both of these effects, like any other regular card would have, would be like game changing kind of thing, especially for like a hero deck, which I understand is actually pretty powerful, and especially the whole destroy spells and traps things.
Well, unfortunately, Stratos is not banned. But,
Really?
believe it or not, it actually was once banned. The reason why Stratos was banned back in the day is because it's not once per turn. If you had ways of summoning multiple Stratos or re-summoning Stratos back from the graveyard, you could use this effect again. The thing is, it's so specific to the Heroes archetype, which Heroes are not bad, but they definitely aren't the best in the game. And so this guy...
I was thinking it was banned because, again, it was exclusive to Heroes, yes, but it was the whole thing of, like, it has two different effects that are, I think, both, like, game-changing.
Red Reboot. Alright. When your opponent activates a trap card, negate the activation, and if you do, set that card face down, then they can set one other trap directly from their deck. For the rest of its turn after this card resolves, your opponent cannot activate trap cards. And you can activate this card from your hand by paying half your life points. Stops your opponent from using trap cards for the rest of their turn, but they could get another trap directly from their deck. That's the thing.
I'm gonna say ban because this feels like, hate to say it like this, but it feels like the Weasel's Imperial Order.
Which is funny because I don't have Imperial Order because that one's banned. Banned, and like an obvious one. And the funny thing is, you are correct, and people are not happy about that. Reboot was a good way of stopping, like, those kind of decks where you'd use a bunch of trap cards that, you know, prevented effects or certain kind of cards, like floodgates. And Red Reboot was a nice way of dealing with them. That means those kind of floodgatey heavy decks have a lot more power.
You're going to Brazil!
I'm really pissed that Red Reboot got banned recently.
Again, it's like, at least with Imperial Order, it felt like with Imperial Order that you were, at least there's some kind of like base idea that you were sacrificing, because it was just no spells at all, right?
Yeah.
Like, no player, either or could do it, so it was a little bit more fair. This one felt like it was just like outright, just the other player was fucked.
Triple D Duo Don King Kali Yuga. This is an Xyz monster that requires 2 level 8 double D monsters. After he is Xyz summoned for the rest of the turn, other cards and their effects cannot be activated on the field, and other cards' effects on the field are negated. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, destroy all spells and traps on the field.
I'm gonna say not banned?
What makes you say that?
Just because it seems to have, like, at least, it's not like, because this sounds like stupid, but it's like fucking, it has like specifications for what kind of, like, what needs to create it. Like, you're at least building something up to it. It's not just... I think a lot of the things in the extra deck tend to also, you know, not get that kind of treatment with the ban list so much, I think.
We'll see. I still have a couple more. And the funny thing is, you are correct. Kali Yuga is not banned. The reason why Kali Yuga is not banned, it needs 2 double D monsters. So summoning this on your turn is not particularly great. There are ways to bring it out on your opponent's turn with stuff like Wonder Xyz or rank up Phantom Knight's magic. But the thing is, those are a lot trickier because Wonder Xyz is not like a particularly great card.
Fun fact real quick, do you know what Kali Yuga means?
What's that?
I believe it's a Hawaiian word that essentially translates to Armageddon.
Cool.
My bad, Kali Yuga was not Hawaiian, it's Hindu.
Ooh. Union Carrier.
Did this go to any particular deck, or was it just kind of a...
Union Carrier could be used with multiple kinds of decks. Target one face-up monster you control, equip a monster to it from your hand or deck with the same original type or attribute. The equipped monster gains 1,000.
I'm gonna say no. Just because, again, it has that specification of the type or attribute, and it's once per turn. I don't think this card by itself is all too powerful. So it would, if it was banned, that would mean that it would be like some kind of combo going on. Huh.
Indeed, you're correct. This card is banned, and because there are certain cards you could equip to cards on the field to do shenanigans with it. Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, which normally could only be equipped to a card called Buster Blader, but you could cheat it and equip it to either a dragon monster or a dark monster, and while it's equipped to something, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. Alternatively, you could equip this card, Mist Valley Thunderbird, to Mist Valley Apex Avian, who, when your opponent activates a card effect, once per chain, not turn, chain, you can target a Mist Valley card you control, return that target to the hand, and negate the effect and destroy it. And when Thunderbirds return to the hand, it can be resummoned. So, constantly. So, meaning it's a never-ending fuck loop of just getting negated. Let's go with Mr. Disco Ball. Herald of Ultimateness. Your opponent would special summon a monster or activate a spell or trap card or a monster effect. You can send a fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate the special summoner activation, and if you do, destroy that card.
I might be mistaken, but I think this is banned. I think you made a video about it.
No, that one was Christron Hauk.
Got it.
He's not on this list, by the way. He's too obvious.
I'm gonna say no.
So you don't think he's banned?
I don't think he's banned.
You're correct! Believe it or not. So...
I specifically think that because I remember you having like a particular kind of... I think you disliked this card, so if it was banned, yeah, I think you would have celebrated like, you know, what you did with Hulk.
Yeah, Grinder Golem cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand to your opponent's side of the field by special summoning 2 Grinder tokens who have 0 attack and defense and are level 1 darks, face up attack position on your field. If you special summon this monster, you cannot normal summon or set a monster during the same turn.
How old is this card?
I want to say 2007 at the earliest.
This doesn't seem like a very good card. I don't know what you could do with it, because you cannot be normal summon, you need to special summon it. And then you just can't normal summon for the rest of your turn. I'm thinking.
Take your time.
I'm gonna say no? Because I couldn't think of like what's going on here outside of... The only way I see this being powerful were kaijus made around this time?
Kaijus came out in 2017, so 10 years later.
Then I don't know. This seems like a poor man's kaiju card.
Well, the funny thing is, people thought that at the time, but believe it or not, this card is banned.
Why is it banned?
Because when Link monsters came about, some Link monsters have the abilities like where all you need is like, so you could use one of the tokens, and then for any Link monsters that are like 2 monsters with different names, technically you could use that. So Grinder Golem was a way to get Link summoning going quickly.
Oh, so it was less the card itself and more the fact that it was an easy way to get other kinds of cards.
That's the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Some cards don't find their voice until many years later, and Grinder Golem is a perfect example because for almost a decade it was considered useless, and then when Link summoning came out, suddenly everybody was using it. Delinquent Duo. Pay 1,000 life points, your opponent discards a random card, and if they have any other cards in their hand, discards 1 more card of their choice.
Banned.
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted to search this card. I wanted at least one, what were they thinking kind of card, because even at the time, this was kind of one of those cards that's like, really? You're gonna do that? That grass looks greener. If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so you have the same number of cards in your deck as your opponent.
I'm gonna say banned, because this feels like an unfair advantage for a lot of decks who have like card types that heavily rely on like doing effects in the graveyard.
That grass is greener is banned, indeed. But not in Master Duel, which I always found really confusing.
I think that... Wait, I can see a lot of exploitation with this, because again, it's not...
Oh, yeah.
I can see it doing a lot of exploitation to put a bunch of cards in the graveyard real quick, and then you get all those cards effects.
You don't know the hell of seeing this card get activated, and you see the cards getting discarded are shadow cards, and you gotta sit there waiting for 8 effects to go through. It is hell. I hate this card. I'm in shock that it's allowed in Master Duel.
Fuck. Sorry, I'm dying.
Self-Destruct Button. You can only activate this card while your life points are lower than your opponent's life points, and the difference is 7,000 points or more. Both players' life points become 0.
Banned. And this feels like a panic button card. I'm a little worried because it's not ultra rare, and it because it ensures both players lose. So what's the point?
Well, you are correct. Self-Destruct Button is banned, and it's for a unique reason. So,
Why?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments in the real-life world, matches are best of 3, right? And so what a lot of players would do, back when this was legal, is have like a quick and easy way to whittle down their life points so that like one of those rounds is like a neutral round, so then it becomes a best of 1 essentially.
I see.
Yeah, and you know, getting your life points to a point where you have 1,000, either 1,000 or your opponent has 7,000 more is not hard at all. So that was 15 cards. I think that's a good number. Let's see. Out of all of them, you only got 4 incorrect out of 15. That's really damn good.
Yeah.
The ones you definitely did the best on was like looking at cards where you could overall see like a big picture on like how they could get banned and like their overall effects, while at the same time you recognize a lot of the limitations in regards to certain cards. Meow-meow-mu, you saw, oh, it's not that strong, but I could see how something could use that. That's good thinking there, Tex. All right, thank you everybody for joining. Have a good day. See you all next time.
See you later.
Bye.